Coming up on this week's Weekly News Digestive, the Bat returns in Batman Arkham Origins, Dark Souls 2 footage emerges, and fresh gameplay from The Last of Us. Hello and welcome to our newly titled Weekly News Digestive, so called because we get to eat biscuits. So, Leon Hurley, Associate Editor of Official PlayStation Magazine.com.
Hello.
Biscuit.
Thank you very much.
And Dan Dawkins, co-host of GTA 5 o'clock.
Oh, delighted, thanks.
We just got to hold them now. We can't,
Well, you can eat them when the sting comes on in a minute. Or
That's
leave it in your sweaty pocket.
That's not going to end badly. Half melted digestive in your pocket.
I don't want to do any kind of important newsing with a mouthful of biscuit.
This has already been a brilliant decision. I think you'll agree. So I should explain to our American friends that biscuits are like cookies. I was told earlier that you might not understand biscuits because apparently they don't get biscuits in America.
Yes, we use the right words.
And leave your comments below about Leon's brilliant new clothes that he's brought because of your mean...
Sleeves.
Yeah, he's got sleeves this week. Coming up first, we've got some next-gen news. Monday saw the launch of our new show entitled The League of Next Gentlemen, which is also co-hosted by Dan Dawkins.
Yeah, I'm in everything.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Just wheel him out when
here it is.
So if you like the sound of that, it's going to cover all things next-gen news, announcements, trailers, new footage and stuff. Hit the subscribe button and it'll be delivered to you every Tuesday, Dan?
Yeah, every Tuesday evening GMT. Not a precise time yet. Good news is we've had a trial run this week. Next week, outfits.
Oh, no. There's a show.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll get some outfits at some point.
Outfits related to the theme.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, not
right,
just random
fine.
outfits.
All right.
Should be fun.
Next gen news for right now, though, is that Asda in the UK have started pre-orders for the PlayStation 4 at a mere £20. Mm-hmm. Leon, what does this mean? Is it coming out as Asda seem to think at the end of the year?
Well,
it isn't.
Well, there's been a lot of indirect rumour where people like the Assassin's Creed director seems to think that the PS3 and PS4 versions of Assassin's Creed 4 are coming out at the same time. Battlefield 4, which hasn't directly been announced for PS4, but people have said they've seen it, is supposed to be coming out in November. A GameStop executive in a recent financial call was talking about the global launch of PS4 this year. So indirectly, a lot of people seem to be letting slip that the PS4 is happening kind of November time this year.
Dan, global launch?
I think they'd like to. I mean, of course they'd like to.
Yeah.
I mean, history has dictated that they would launch in mono-language territories where you look at, say, it's easier to localise a console for Japan or for the North American audience because you're primarily dealing with one language. When you talk about Europe, you're talking about a complex market that would involve a Swedish translation, a French translation, a German translation, plus the distribution breakup of delivering consoles to every single region, because every different region's got a different distribution network. It's an extremely complex bit of planning. But then again, Sony have done this before and can plan and can do it properly, and I think the idea of launching globally makes perfect sense. Apple launched globally.
Yeah. And it would be quite an E3 coup to be able to announce, hey, it's coming out to you all by the end of the year.
Well, exactly. And again, I don't want to go too off topic, but you look at the disappointment of the PS4 reveal. Oh, the disappointing PS4. But the truth is, they've sort of done half a reveal. They've done the busy work. They've done the explanation and the concept. What they can do next at E3 is, after Microsoft have had their go and done their bit, they can relaunch effectively at E3 and say, now we're showing you the physical console that you were all so upset about. We're announcing when it's coming out. There's 2 headline bits of news. Oh, and by the way, here's Uncharted 4. And then, the takeaway from that is, wow, that's really exciting. And I personally think Sony have been smart in splitting up the announcement.
All right, a little bit of extra next-gen news, moving over to the other side of the fence. The Microsoft, is it online, is it not online, debate rumbles on this week with apparently, no it isn't anymore. And
also the man who started the conversation on Twitter has been let go.
Yeah, from last week's news, you will notice we did maybe predict that he might not have a job by this time now, and he doesn't.
Well, apparently, the rumour is it's a mutual decision. He sort of resigned because he's sort of made his position untenable.
Yeah,
which is a shame because he said a stupid thing.
Well, that's true. But I guess... Yeah. Sorry,
I
Dan.
just thought it was people taking a lot of glee in him being fired, as
Yeah.
if somehow he was like the king of always on.
Yeah.
I made
Yeah,
this
yeah.
decision. I mean,
But that's what the internet made him into, and I think that's
Yeah.
why he's had to leave. Is Microsoft have said you've now become a figurehead for what may happen, and
Yeah.
is already incredibly unpopular. We can't have you being the mascot of the thing we might do that people won't like.
yeah.
Oh, if they were waiting to show something off at E3, they could have done it then, couldn't they? And by the way, you guys have won. Look, here he is. He's fired. Right, that's our announcement done.
Yeah.
Maybe we might not have long to wait though. April 26th, so a couple of weeks is the rumoured thing for Microsoft to sort of start pushing out
Well,
the information.
isn't the new rumour that May 21st is the date?
Even
it's gone-
sooner.
so it's gone. That's further
Later.
away, isn't it? Even
Yeah.
later. So when sooner,
I'm
you mean the
brilliant with
opposite.
maths. Yeah.
Yeah.
Stay tuned for more information.
You were really soon to the truth then?
That's right.
No, that's wrong. Yeah, so it's another month away. One rumour is, this is maybe a rumour we started in the office, the reason it slipped back is because Microsoft can smell that always on is a bad potato. So, you know, the truth is they might be going, oh, we can't make it always on, we're going to make it partially on, or, you know, they're doing something to describe how they're going to sell it
Is
into
that not
people.
going to be disastrous though? 'Cause if they've planned a whole system and a whole
Oh.
lot thing, and then they suddenly start
Yeah.
going, maybe we're going to change it a bit. Because
I
there's
agree.
also that rumour
Yeah.
where they said they were going to bring it in line with what Sony had revealed, which again suggested they were moving things around. And you know, you need to lock these things down to be able to make them and to move forward. If you suddenly pull a bit out,
Yeah.
it's like last minute bug fixing in a game. If you
Exactly
fix
that.
one thing and the rest of it all falls apart.
Generally, if anything you produce without conviction and you end up modifying
Yes.
it halfway along, tends to become a muddle. I'd imagine it would only be something like we've maybe read this week, where conflicting rumours have been things like it will be always on, but we'll only check every 3 minutes. So that, which is ridiculous. What an arbitrary number. Not 3 minutes, but like, you know, every 3 minutes. And then, you know,
What
for
is
example,
for?
you could play a disc-based game, and if you had like a short outage, it doesn't instantly balk out. It just checks again in a minute.
My internet is, you know, drops out on a Saturday sometimes, drops out for like half an hour at a time.
Well, that's 10 checking points
Yeah.
where it could have gone wrong.
Do I get like a certain amount and then it goes, yeah, I'm definitely going to pull the plug this time?
I don't know. We'll find out. Hey, the thing is about all of this, we don't know. We're
No.
going to find out soon.
But yes, we will find out soon. Tuesday brought us a new trailer for The Last of Us, which, Leon, you're very excited about.
Yes, well, I played it very recently and I was quite surprised how sort of much of an impact it had. You think it's Naughty Dog, Uncharted, you sort of feel like you know what you're going to get, and I started playing it and it was quite a surprise in a good way. It's got that kind of the feel of Uncharted and that really slick, well told story, beautiful animation, beautiful locations, but there's so much more kind of gravitas and weight to it. It's like it makes Uncharted look like a bit of a sort of a clown show, really, in terms of the level of not humour, but I mean, obviously Uncharted is entertaining and funny and engaging.
It's
This
like
is
an action
quite
film, and this is more of a
this is quite
depressing,
grim, for want of a
like-
better word. I found myself wanting to avoid enemies, not because there was a gameplay benefit or anything like that, but just because it was so harsh and sort of distressing to have to attack someone or to be attacked. I came out of it quite like not shaken, but like, well, that was a lot stronger than I thought it was going to be, and I really think they've done an interesting thing with in terms of storytelling. It does, it takes what they had in Uncharted way higher than anything Uncharted ever did.
It seems to be one of the few games that are on the horizon now that everyone's sort of excited about. Well, everyone who owns a PS3 anyway, not the Xbox people, I guess.
It's one of the last men standing, isn't it, of this generation, and beyond that, yeah, it's one of the most anticipated because, as Leon says, it looks amazing. I watched the latest video, the environmental production video, which I thought was very impressive.
Lovely, yeah.
Yeah, the only thing I didn't like was when they went like, one of the guys went, we've really turned this is not his actual voice, we've really turned the environments into what we believe is a character.
Yeah,
I sort of hate that, the idea of the environment being a character, because if he was, what would be his special powers? Growing grass.
Yeah, being really good at
I mean,
making
it's a storytelling tool. I mean, you look at things like sort of BioShock 1 and Infinite and even Dishonored and stuff. The world itself does tell part of the story. So
Yeah.
the way they've kind of crafted it, and they showed it, they were putting in filing cabinets and the plants and how they interacted with the buildings. It does have a story playing role within the game. Yeah, it's not like it doesn't introduce itself at the end. Take a
Yeah,
mouthful,
I know. I'm being a bit naughty.
But I found when I was exploring, 'cause one of the levels I
Environment
played
played by.
was you go into this sort of, it's like what looks like a real kind of middle management office, the kind of place that sort of has dividers between desks, and the building's like a bit tilted on its side, like it's crumbled a bit. But you're walking through it and you go, well, this is exactly that kind of really dowdy middle management, boring kind of office, except it's overrun with plants and there's dead bodies everywhere. And you're sort of creeping through it, not quite sure what's around the corner, but you were kind of going like, well, I know this kind of building, I recognise this kind of place, I can understand what it should be like and why the state it's in now is a big deal. And it was really interesting sort of environment to explore.
All right, well, you don't have long to wait. We'll have fresh gameplay on the channel next week, so if you like the sound of that, hit the subscribe button and we'll bring that straight to your inbox. Wednesday saw some new gameplay revealed for Dark Souls 2. Now, the original Dark Souls was probably one of the hardest games that I've ever played, which is why I stopped playing it, because I died a lot and it annoyed me.
I think the problem is it's not hard. It
is hard.
No, it's not.
It's notorious for being hard.
But it's not hard as in like it just crushes you underfoot all the time. It's a different way of playing a game, and you have to understand what it wants you to do in order to progress. So it's not about kind of just running up to the nearest enemy and like start waving your sword and hoping you can beat it. It's about learning the area and working out sort of where you can go and what you can get at, and you have to. It's a change of kind of attitude about how to play a game to get anywhere in it. But yeah, I mean it's quite.
You've got to have a lot of time to.
A lot of patience, yeah.
A lot of time and patience. Something I imagine, Dan, by your. We seem to pick one game every week.
Yeah, well, I'm probably not because of my having a family and commitments and very little time. I've got Dark Souls still in its beautiful cellophane box. It's so scary. I daren't ever crack it open. But I've no doubt I'd like it. And I like the idea of it. It's just because of everything everyone said, I don't feel like I've got time to immerse into learning it. Though I say that, I spent almost 200 hours playing Skyrim.
That's true. But I think Skyrim is much more accessible, isn't it? Like Dark Souls is one of those games that you either sort of go, oh, I'm going to invest in this right now, or you sort of go, oh,
I think one of Dark Souls' biggest problems is you've got to invest kind of like upwards of sort of 8-10 hours into it before you even kind of go, oh, I get it. And obviously, that's one hell of a tutorial.
But for Dark Soul-y people, that's not the community name, the Dark Soulers, whatever they are. Like, what's new about the new game? What are they looking for? What do they want from it?
Well, the diehard fans want it to be sort of as kind of much of a challenge as much as a kind of a mission as the previous ones. I forgot the name of the creative director. He stepped aside. 2 new guys have taken over, and he talked about making it more accessible. The new gameplay that's been shown off doesn't look like they've dumbed it down at all. I think that's what people are afraid of, is that they would not so much maybe make it easier, but part of the thing with Dark Souls and Demon Souls before was when you were playing it, you just had no idea sort of what anything meant, almost what you were meant to do. So a lot of the first few hours of Dark Souls, you're wandering around going like, "What? I picked this thing up. I don't know what it is. What is this guy saying when I talk to him?" And so it was a community kind of swapping tips and exploring. And I think if they can get that and make it a little more approachable, but not necessarily make the game easier, that will entice more players in. So if you don't have to play it for sort of people finishing the game and not even realizing that some bloke over there had a thing you could use, or you could join his. They had like sects and things. So I think it's just making it easier to understand, but not necessarily making it easier to play would be a good idea.
Thursday brought us fresh information for Batman Arkham Origins. No longer being developed by Rocksteady, but it's taken to Warner Bros. Montreal.
Yes,
so
Warner Bros.
taken
Games
it in-house,
Montreal. Yes,
effectively. So obviously it's going to be brilliant, we think.
Well, yeah, I don't see how they can really mess it up. I mean, the template is there. From the sounds of it, the combat and the kind of basic gameplay is all intact. They've talked about adding some new layers and options to the fighting system. There's a couple of new gadgets. There's like a grapple gun that works a bit like Just Cause, where it smashes things together. Yeah. But essentially, all they've got to do is copy the template that Rocksteady created. I don't see how they can go that wrong. They're all vets. They're all sort of very competent, experienced developers. They've all worked on lots of games before, so it's not like a new team. They've just sort of scraped out of university and gone off you go.
And in terms of the setting, it takes place before the other games. It's sort of Christmas Eve, early in Batman's career.
Yeah, they describe him as an unrefined Batman, basically. So he's a new.
Yeah, there's talk of scenes from the footage that's been seen of Batman interrogating goons, but because he's a bit raw, he doesn't sort of know when to draw the line. So I think he pushes some people over the edge, and he's kind of it's him finding himself, I guess. And it's based on the Batman Year One graphic novels that were very highly acclaimed. Frank Miller, before he went mad later in his life. and it sounds quite interesting. And I think that period is quite rich, and it's explored in the comics, the relationship between Gordon and Batman as they find themselves. Also touched upon in the films, the Nolan films.
And you get to have the Batwing in this. Well, you get to see it. You don't get to pilot it.
Yeah, you get to use it, so you can fast travel. So there's old Gotham, which is kind of like the Arkham City location, and there's New Gotham, which is the posh skyscraper bit you can see before. And you can fast travel with the Batwing between areas, but there are these sort of towers that sound a bit like Far Cry towers, where they will jam areas. So you can't take the Batwing in there until you've dismantled the tower, and they'll need different skills and different gadgets to take down.
Like a story progression type.
Yes, but so you don't directly pilot it, you don't steer it or anything. You just call it, I guess, get in it, and then you get out in a new area. But it means you can move around what I guess is going to be quite a large map now. It's an open world Gotham. There's random missions, there's sort of police events, there's most wanted criminals to hunt down. It sounds like they're getting towards that fully free roaming open world sort of experience that people asked for. Like the second the first game came out, they went do it in the open world, and I think this is what it's going to be.
What I like the sound of is they've talked about one of the influences being the BBC adaptation of Sherlock. And if you see that, it's kind of Sherlock comes into a scene, he looks at a coffee cup and he goes, clearly proves the killer has heart problems because of his fingerprints or something pretty maniac. But I think I like going down that road of going back to the roots of Batman being a master detective. It also talks about being able to take scenarios and run them through the Bat computer that you can watch at your leisure in 3D wireframe. And I think from what you watch of that, you can then glean extra information. Again, I don't know how that's going to work, but the idea of it is right. In fact, I broadly, it sounds heretical to say it, I'm not that excited about this game because I fear it'll just be a very good reskin of a good game I played 2 years ago, which sounds a bit harsh. But at the same time, if they can really take and run with the different element, which could be the detective component, and make it feel like their game rather than a reskin of Rocksteady's game, it's got a lot of potential. What I'm most interested in is what Rocksteady are doing, probably with Batman, most likely on next gen.
Yeah, exactly. That is coming soon. So for all the Batman Arkham Origins news, facts and information, check out our Batman Origins Rumour Roundup, which you can see by clicking the link right now. And finally, with news this week that the District 9 director is still interested in making a Halo film, I thought it'd be interesting to reel off some game to film ideas and see if you guys are going to give me some sponsorship money.
Are you pitching? Is this like I'm in, I'm out, that sort of thing?
Well, not really, because I've only got like one fact. So, it's not even a fact, because obviously I've just made it up. So would you be interested in a Treasure Island Dizzy film played by the little Eggman? Treasure Island Dizzy, it's like from the 80s, if some of you don't quite know.
They did re-release it on iOS, didn't they?
Yeah, quite recently. The little Eggman is played by Mr. Potato Head.
Played by Mr. Potato Head?
Yeah.
It feels like we're crossing the streams a bit here.
Well, yeah, but it's in fantasy film.
So you want a fictional character played by another fictional character?
Yes.
Okay.
We good? We in? It doesn't look like you're in.
I'm out.
Well,
Dan, you just look confused.
I'm in. Will Pixar be in? Do they own Mr. Potato Head? I don't know.
I guess so. Well, do they? I don't know. Beautiful Katamari film. It's a disaster movie directed by Ronald Emmerich, who did The Day After Tomorrow. So it's just loads of stuff rolling up into a massive ball.
I think you could probably just put a Katamari in the beginning of 2012. Just have that rolling behind the plane.
Right.
Do the job.
I'd like Oliver Stone to direct Wall Street 3, the visual metaphor, and the big banker just rolls up the world in a giant ball covered in sweets and money. That's what I'd do.
That's good. That's a good one.
See, that's a good idea. Yeah. That's free.
Hey, well, all of these are bad ideas, right?
No, not one bad idea yet, James.
Brilliant. Well, the next one, we're going back to Disney and Toy Story again, because my brain was in a weird place when I wrote this. So Lemmings, but the Lemmings are the little aliens from Toy Story who say, like, the claw a lot.
You were ripping on Pixar so hard.
Well, were you watching Toy Story when you wrote this list?
I think I might have been a bit confused, yeah. I don't know. Okay, right, we'll move on. Dishonored. I haven't got anyone to be in that. I just thought it'd be a good film.
I still think. I mean, whenever
it's going well, right?
Whenever I think of like making films of games, I always think of BioShock, just because that's such a visually rich world.
I deliberately didn't write that down because it's so obvious.
I know it's so obvious, but just imagine, if you had the camera pan across that sort of, where the bathysphere arrives, and it was a real movie set.
It'd be good. But it's Monkey Island, starring Ryan Gosling, because he looks a bit like Guy Bush Threepwood, and you could have a guest cameo from Jack Pirates of the Caribbean.
Jack Pipe Paradise.
What is it with you and Disney?
Disney own everything now.
I know, I guess they
Come
do.
on, it's
I guess
really
they
hard.
do. Yeah, you're right.
They just keep shutting it down, don't they? We own you, you're shut. We own you, you're shut.
Well, the last one's really weak, and it's not even my suggestion.
The last one's weak.
Yeah, well, the others have been brilliant.
I've delivered my goal.
What? You Journey.
Do we have to give the biscuit back?
Journey, I want to play a game. So it's in the style of Saw, and two men wake up in the middle of the desert and have to figure out what's going on.
Are they, what, just in the robes?
Yeah, just like in...
And what? Are they,
What?
They're gagged with ball gags that they can only whistle through.
And Leon would like to be the costume man on that film.
Well, just want to make it, more journeyish.
You have to peep and whistle to let someone know you've got a key in your belly.
Hey,
Yeah,
see? Now we're
yeah.
developing a good
And they've got
universe
I'm not running
here.
with
They've got their
idea.
hands super glued to their sides, so they have to do that funny little run everywhere.
Yeah, that could happen. Well, that's it. What? Have you got anything better apart from
You forgot
Wall
Partridge
Street?
Amongst the Pigeons,
Right.
Monkey Tennis. You've got all the classics. I don't know.
I think you're.
I've got to think. I basically think, essentially, there's yet to be a single good video game movie. That's right, isn't there? There's not a single good one. There's just less
No.
terrible
I didn't.
ones.
Yeah, I didn't. Tomb Raider was less terrible than the other ones.
It hasn't dated well though.
It's pretty
No.
terrible, though. You'd never actually seek it out.
No, you've never. If it's on
Okay.
TV, I might watch it.
Silent Hill was alright. Felt like the first half an hour, you're like, oh, this is going to be good, and then it all goes a bit wrong.
Yeah, that seems to happen a lot.
Oh,
Yeah.
Metal Gear movie's happening. That's for me. I'm
Yep.
a big Metal Gear man. That's definitely happening. I spoke to Kojima just recently, and
It must be true.
He said he'd been with Avi Arad, who's the producer, who's involved with like things like the Marvel movies and things, and you sort of secretly get the feeling. I won't deliver a world exclusive. There's my place to do it. Basically, I don't
mean, this
think
isn't the time and place.
Oh,
This
it is. It's
Weekly
the
News
show.
Digestive.
But I suppose breaking news on the news biscuit does make sense.
I'll give you a biscuit if you want to break it
Well,
half as you do
essentially,
it.
what Kojima said was he's been talking to Hollywood studios about who they're going to cast as Snake. And I sort of said, well, who have you met? And I said, have you used it as a platform, essentially, to meet all the people you like?
Right.
Because essentially, I know he loves Ben Affleck. We talked about that, and he said, well, that would be amazing. I'd obviously love to do that. And he goes, I can't speak too much about who I've met because it's all under NDA.
Mm-hmm.
But he said, well, I will say for sure that Ben Affleck would be a bad Snake. As not bad, but he's not right.
Not
for
right,
it.
yeah, he wouldn't
And,
fit.
and what he essentially said was, there's lots of names you could throw at it, but for him, and I think the way they're heading is, they want somebody who's effectively unknown, who can grow into the role of Snake, so that if the film is to take off, and this is my reading of it,
Right.
if the film's to take off, that character is synonymous with being Snake. So
Right,
you've not got the baggage of to a terrible name like Ryan Gosling is Snake, or that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I think they just want to find a good character actor who can come in and take it to another level.
That's a good sign, I guess, because they're putting faith in the movie itself, not attaching big names to it to sort of buoy it up.
It could be a brilliant movie, but not if it's anything like the script in the Metal Gear games. Because I think there's a misconception about the Metal Gear games that Kojima wants to be a film director, and so whilst he sort of kind of does, he's also a master of the game's medium, and a lot of the story is told through game mechanics, and that's not going to translate that well directly to a film, but his ideas would do. And the universe is beautiful, the design and the characters, and the cast.
Yeah, it's really exciting. Well, you heard it here first, right? Next week,
that's first.
Next week, Dan will bring us another world exclusive. That's your challenge. Now,
Oh
if you
yeah,
dig that out.
definitely,
Yeah, that'll
definitely,
be fine.
yeah.
If you've liked what you've seen this week, please hit the like button. Don't forget to comment, rate, and subscribe. Let us know what games to movies you like in the comments below, or anything about Leon in general will be fine. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.